Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show this Wednesday, the 18th of August, 2021. Thank you for tuning in. Now, here's the thing. You can send your pet photos in anytime you want. And Monday, I'm going to start running them 3 to a time. The first ones that come in, like to my website, uh, will be listed in that order, like 3 to a day. We're going to do 3 to a day starting Monday, so you can send your pet photos in anytime you want, you know. And if you set pet photos before, you can send more. It doesn't matter. I'll put them all up there, and we're gonna have fun looking at the pets next week. Anyway, let's get started. Let's talk about what's going on in China. The thing is China's put in these new regulations and stuff. They have to look at the whole picture. What's been going on with China for the last number of years. They've started new banks and everything. Well, let's get the chart started and let's take a look right here and take a look. China has started the BRICS. Now, the BRICS nations, if you don't know what they are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Those are the BRICS nations. They've been working for a long time, separating themselves, creating financial institutions that are the equivalent of what we have in the West. The equivalent of the World Bank, for instance. Now, this is one of the banks that they've developed called New Development Bank, and this has been in the works for a number of years. These are established institutions now at this point. But it's a part of their separation from the West. They're replacing the COMEX with the Shanghai Gold Exchange. And what they're doing is they're creating their own financial system that's kind of like a copy of what the West has got. But they're doing it for a reason. The reason is they've looked out into the future, a long ways ahead. They saw this coming. The collapse of the Western financial system due to the Western financial system being a Ponzi scheme. Chinese play a long game, so does the Russians. The BRICS nations are working together to establish a future for themselves, separate from the Western financial system, which is collapsing. The way I see it, I don't think there's going to be any world war or anything. Why would they? They can stand back. It's like they're on an island over there, and they can stand back and watch our island sink. Slowly sink because it's structured wrong. From its foundation, it's structured wrong. That's what's happening. We're slowly sinking. We're sinking in debt. Done it to ourselves. We're sinking in debt. And it's only going to go to a certain point where it has to flip in one of two directions, either deflation or inflation. But either way, it's going to pull the moorings out from underneath our civilization in the whole western side of the world. You know? Let's take a look at this. China's top port is shuttered for the 7th day as congestion crisis spreads. One of the biggest ports in the world, with goods coming out of China, is shuttered right now. This is going to make more problems for the West, and prices going up. More inflation, because this is very similar to what happened when the ship got blocked in the canal a few months ago, and all the ships were in behind it, and they couldn't get out to get their goods to port and stuff. This is more of the same. If you've noticed, if you've been in the store lately, perhaps you've been to Walmart, you notice shelves are starting to go empty of goods. Now, I was to the grocery store yesterday. I've never seen anything like it before, and our grocery stores are always well supplied, well stocked here in Canada. It's the first time ever I went through the meat aisle. They only had about half or 2/3 as much meat as they normally have. They're all but out of ground hamburger. That's just what I wanted. They had 2 packs left, and I grabbed them. And I noticed that the price was significantly higher than it was 10 days ago, just 10 days ago. They were small packs. Normally, I go in there and I buy a big pack of hamburger, and it's generally like $12, okay? They only had 2 small packs of hamburger. They were not the equivalent in weight of the big pack I normally buy for 12 bucks. And each of the 2 packs put together didn't make the weight of what I normally buy, you know. It was about 2/3 the weight of what I normally buy. The 2 small packs. The big pack is like half again more hamburger than the 2 packs put together that I bought, but they were like $8 a piece. So it's like $16. Normally I only pay like 12 bucks. And I didn't get as much hamburger. Prices are going up like mad. Now I went to the other aisle where they have the canned goods, you know, like canned beans and canned corn and all that. Half of it's gone. And that's very unusual for Canadian grocery store. Uh, where half of the merchandise in that aisle was stripped bare. There's like there was still food there, but it wasn't like normal. It was like I've never seen it like that before, guys. I've never seen it like that before. But let's get back to talking about what's going on here with China. China, I see this new move. I'm going to see if I can find it here. China stocks drop as new regulations spook investors. What I see with this going on is they're putting these new regulations in for these big companies like Alibaba and really big companies out there, you know, Chinese companies. And it's creating a separation. It's almost like what they're doing is they're trying to, the way I see it, now this is just the way I see it, China's starting to separate from the sinking ship, which is the West, financially speaking. They've established these big banks for themselves and everything, and you don't want to go down with a sinking ship. I'm going to tell you about a sinking ship. When a ship is sinking, a big ship like the Titanic, and say you've jumped overboard, you know, you want to swim away from that sucker because when she goes down, she's going to create a whirlpool and she'll pull you down with it. You know, if you're in the water, you want to swim away. And I see that as what China's doing is they're starting to swim away because they don't want to get sucked down with this ship when she goes down. And I'll tell you what, I think she is going to go down. Let's take a look now at the silver price today. A massive sale on silver, and it's been on sale for the last couple weeks. And it's getting bigger. The sale's getting bigger. 23.32 today. How low could silver go? 20 bucks. I think that's about the limit. Back about a year or two ago, a couple years ago, silver was at 14 bucks, and that was a limit. And the reason why it was a limit was very simple. That's what it costs the miners to get it to you, basically, you know. And they knew if they took it any lower, the mines will just stop. If they take the silver price too low, the mines will just stop. Now the silver price, the lowest that they can take it down to is around 20. They take it any lower and start to take it down to the teens, they're going to see mining production grind off. Miners have to make money too, you know. You get it down too low, the miners will just say, hey, we're going to keep our silver for ourselves. Byproduct, we'll just keep it here. We won't even put it into the market if it gets down too low. It's not worth it to them. You know, so what we're seeing here is probably the limit for silver is around 20 bucks. But will it go down to $20? Well, if it does go down to $20, I'm going to tell you what. On the other side of that, we're going to see it go up. And you guys are waiting. What, Glenn, when's it going to go up? I'll tell you when it's going to go up. What's happening is out there right now, right this minute. You guys listen carefully to what I'm going to say next. Very important. Out in the desert, you can go places in the desert where you'll find dry stream beds and stuff where the water's been. You can see the rushing water roar through. They call that a flash flood in the desert. You know, it might rain up in the mountains and the water comes roaring down into the desert, and it carries sticks and limbs, and you'll see an area, dry area, dry patch in the desert, right? Well, that's what's happening here. All of this uh, stimulus, instead of stimmy checks out to everybody and sending money and everybody getting double pay uh, for their unemployment benefits, and money was pouring out everywhere. It was like a flash flood in the desert. What happens in the desert when a flash flood comes? That water dries up. I mean, it come roaring through the water, but it dries up just as quick on the other side because it's a desert. Because our economy has been turned into a sieve, like a spaghetti sieve. You pour the money in one side and it runs out the other side just as fast as you pour it in. Because of that, what's happening is right now, I'm on top of things. I got my ear to the ground, and I'm telling you, this money is drying up so fast right now, it's making my eyes spin in my head. It's like a flash flood in the desert. The money that comes from all that stimulus and everything else, it's disappearing so fast from the system. I'm not sure if we're going to make it till Christmas, and we're going to have a deflationary event. I have to look on the other side of that deflationary event, because if they let the deflationary event continue, it'll take the whole system down, so they can't. But we're going to get it because the money's drying up. We're going to get a deflationary event. I'm not so sure we can make it till Christmas before it hits. We might be seeing the beginnings of it now with these markets turning over, like the gold and silver market, and the Dow is just barely struggling to maintain and everything. On the other side of that deflationary event, they're going to pump the money out like there's no tomorrow. Another flash flood of money. System can't take another flash flood of money, guys. It's going to start to hyperinflate. There you go. That's what you need to listen closely to. So, what makes this so hard for me to forecast for you guys is the fact that we're going into a deflation right now, and I'm talking hyperinflation, and the two don't go together. They're like oil and water. Okay, guys? And so my forecast is very difficult for you guys to understand it, because here on one side I'm talking about deflation, I'm talking about prices going down, and then I'm talking hyperinflation too, and it's just really ultimately confusing. And that's because directly in front of us we got a deflationary event coming. But on the other side of that, because it's not going to last long, the deflation, on the other side of that we're going to see hyperinflation, or super powerful inflation, if leading into hyperinflation. And we might go through a series of these deflationary events on the way to hyperinflation. And it makes it awfully hard for me to forecast it for you guys, because there's deflation and inflation. And it's confusing. It's confusing. Let's take a look now at cryptocurrencies. 1.93. So it's come down from 2. It's down to 1.93. We're looking at, that's in billions for the whole industry. We're looking at 45,381. Now, when it was up around over 2 trillion, it was around 47 on Bitcoin. Now it's back down to 45. So we're looking at 45,382 for Bitcoin. Now we're going to take a look at the market. And we're looking at the Dow. It's down about 30 points on the day so far at 35,312. When this deflation hits, we could see the market shed a few thousand points. But here's the thing, guys. The big $64,000 question is, how far is the Fed going to let that go when it starts to fall, the markets? Will they let it drop 5%, 10%, 15%? Because it won't stop. If real fear starts to come in and we see the markets turn downwards, they got to do something to stop it. It's gonna continue to slide until they stop it. The further they let it slide, the more it's gonna gain momentum on its downwards, and the more it's gonna take to stop it. This is why I say the Western financial system is sinking. Because even if they stop it, it's only a temporary thing, and it's going to want to slide again later. This is why we get to get these. They got to keep the money coming perpetually to keep the bubbles popped up now at this point, and it's become a sieve. It's taken more and more and more. After a while, it's just going to get ridiculous. We're sinking. Either by deflation or by inflation, and honest to goodness, it reminds me of that thing that was said that by the central, if we allow a central bank, either by inflation or deflation, that we'll end up sitting on, basically it says sitting on the curb. You're end up homeless. This is exactly what's happening. It's coming true. It's almost like a prophecy that's coming true. Crude oil today, 66.79. It's up 20 cents. Take a look at the MOVE index, 60.28. The MOVE index has slowly been going down lately. It's fallen today, fallen 7 points. Now we're going to take a look at bonds, and we're seeing the long end is rising and the short end is falling, but it's all insignificant, not real big, you know. We're looking at only a basis point or two. It's not no real big movements. 1.28 on the 10-year. It's up 2 basis points, and we're looking at the 30-year at 1.9. Was that 1.98 or something? It's under 2 though, and it's up 1.8 basis points. We're going to take a look at the U.S. dollar index, which is basically today going along sideways at 93.15. So we got a strong dollar, strong against the euro, basically, which is another turd in the toilet floating around. But the dollar's the biggest turd. That's what that. Sorry, guys, I probably shouldn't have used that analogy, but that's the way I see it, you know. Anyway, listen, guys, thank you for listening to my show today. And we'll catch you guys in the very next episode. Bye-bye.